for people to fill up?
Um, Not too long. Let's see.
So is the live title or does it just say live?
I put Mafia Discussions.
Okay. Oh, there's one person looks like.
That might be you, I think. I don't know. Did you like it or something?
I didn't.
So then somebody's in here. Oh, what's up, Reese's Puff? We're doing
There's a lot.
Mafia Discussions. All right, so I saw earlier this week Joey Merlino. He didn't approve of that Philly doc on Netflix coming up.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw some like Facebook post he made or comment where someone's like, "Joey, are you gonna watch this Philly Mafia thing?" And he's like, "I don't plan on it," or something along those lines.
Yeah, he said he don't like it that they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, John VC is in it. He's one of the guys they interview, and he was some fucking nutcase like hitman on the John Stanfa side of things. And apparently, like Merlino, like he's like the only rat that like Merlino doesn't discuss on the podcast because he's like apparently actively afraid of him.
I believe that too.
Uh, what you feel is most influential murder in mob history? This is gonna be a very basic answer, but I feel like Paul Castellano is like that represents kind of the downturn where like the mob kind of becomes like modernized and it's just like a new era. Like Castellano was like that era up until that point was when it was at its peak, just before the commission case. So then Castellano's murder kind of represents this like new guard coming up of, Gotti, etc.
I was gonna say either Castellano or Albert Anastasia, maybe.
Yeah, Anastasia, I think, was like the end of like the early golden age, like the 50s stuff, I would say hmm, Carmine Galante is another pretty big one. That's that kind of, there's that famous photo of him riddled with bullets with his you know, cigar in his mouth. He was, trying to be the banana boss, but clearly that didn't go very well.
Yeah, he was stubborn. That guy. He thought he had power, but
Well, he
it,
did. He was pretty much like the leader of like the Zips, but like the Zips and the Bananos. Like he brought like a bunch of guys from Italy over the States to like support him. But I guess like the American guys were kind of like you know, they didn't really like it.
yeah. And then who took him out? Sonny Red.
Yeah, that was like the three capos hit from Donnie Brasco, but it was like Sunny Red, Big Trinchera, a bunch of like there's three Banana captains who got murdered by like Joe Messino and some other guys.
Yeah, I was watching some shit yesterday with Sammy the Ball. He was talking about the DB hit, and he was blaming Angelo for it all. And then he goes on a rant how he was like really good friends with Gas Pipe. Now all of a sudden, Gas Pipe is his best friend.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't really watch his shit. But I don't know. I always kind of thought he probably I think Casso is like what Gravano thinks he is, like this big fucking like murderous guy. Um, so I don't know. They're both,
Yeah, well, yeah, Gas Pipe is just on another level.
uh, well, he was a lunatic, like there's this general rule about like not going after people's families and Casso kind of like didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thanks, Beep. I appreciate that. What other questions you guys got?
Are you gonna watch that Philly Mafia documentary?
Yeah, I really wish Phil Leonetti was in it.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it, but like begrudgingly, you know. I'm not a fan of like some of the I don't know, it's all these Netflix documentaries to me are kind of the same thing, you know.
Here's what I think they're going to talk about. They're probably going to leave out Johnny Keys. I don't think they're going to.
I don't even think it's gonna be about that era. I think it's just about the Stanfa and like Merlino stuff.
Yeah, but for them to get to that era, shouldn't they have to talk about a little right before that?
I mean, I don't know how like they'll probably like mention it in passing, like, oh, Nicky Scarfo was like the boss, and then you know he went to prison, and then it is, you know, if you watch the trailer, um, it seems like it's mostly Merlino and Stanfa and Philadelphia.
They mentioned Scarfo.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like they're probably gonna like mention that in passing, and then but it's gonna be more of like an intro type thing.
So, in order to mention Scarfo, they have to mention Bruno and they have to mention Johnny Keys. But I don't know. It's going to be weird.
What is a major city in the United States that hasn't come under mafia influence? At its peak, pretty much every southern state there was no mafia family. I think a there was like a Sicilian clan in like Missouri, but I don't know a lot about them. New Orleans is like the only like heavy southern city with like an actual mafia presence. Other than that, a lot of the South, a lot of the upper North places didn't really have any mafia presence. It's mostly an East Coast thing, plus Florida, plus you know, some stuff in LA, Chicago, Detroit, Midwest. That's mostly where it was.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I don't remember any guys in like Maine. Yeah, you had some Connecticut, I think, but not like Maine.
Yeah, Connecticut has like Genovese and like Patriarcha stuff.
Yeah,
Like Patriarch is the Boston family, but they have territory.
yeah,
Um, Yeah, Boardwalk Empire, man. I actually like season 5, but it's so weird the time jump. Like they don't go over like anything. I think they mentioned St. Valentine's Day murder and or sorry, St. Valentine's Day massacre in passing in through like a newspaper clip. But yeah, the Rothstein thing seems like the worst to me. Like that they didn't go into that because that was like, you know,
yeah. That whole Rothstein thing pissed me off. I think that the writer didn't do it because they don't know who killed him, which I think Joe Masseria did. But that's just
I
spec.
I always heard it was like over a gambling thing and it might have been random.
That's what they were saying, but I don't know. Some sources are saying that Masseria did it.
I mean, yeah, Masseria. I mean, he was kind of the big fish at that point, you know. You think
Cause
Maranzano might have done anything?
no, because at that specific moment in time, Joe the Boss was like one of the most powerful guys in America. They said, like in terms of everything that he owned, he was the whole Tammany Hall thing, which Rothstein was a part of. And then Masseria, that's why they say Masseria probably took him out.
Yeah, you know, it's funny though, because in Boardwalk Empire, it shows Luciano getting inducted by um Maranzano. But I, you know, he was inducted by Masseria. If he was inducted into Maranzano, he would have been a Bonanno because that is like the proto Bonanno family, the Maranzano
Yeah.
stuff. Um, do you think Roy DeMeo was crazier than Tommy DeSimone? Yeah, Tommy DeSimone, we don't even really know a lot about. Like a lot of that stuff could just be Hill lying. The craziest guy, I don't know. Like there's a guy Tommy Karate Patera who was a Bonanno hitman who was like kind of a weeaboo. Like he was obsessed with Japan and he like studied martial arts and he did all this weird shit like cutting people up in like bathtubs. He killed women. I think Patera is probably the correct. Then there's also this other guy, Mad Sam DeStefano. He was a Chicago outfit guy. He wasn't made. He was just an associate, and he supposedly was like a rapist. He used to like kidnap guys like who owed his money and like rape their wives and like just a total fucking degenerate.
So I'm going to answer this. Rothstein got swindled in a rigged game of poker, refused to pay up. His name was Hump McManus. So when the cops questioned Rothstein, he said, I forgot exactly what he said, but he didn't tell the cops anything. I think because it was Joe Masseria. That's the
Yeah.
answer to that. And then this guy said he's from Kansas City. He went to school with the Sevilla family kids. Their fathers were mob bosses, and they didn't even know. I went to them at church and social charity events. Did you ever hear of them?
The Savellas, yeah, no, the Kansas City family, like aside from Chicago, was probably like one of the strongest Midwest families. Um, Chicago, Milwaukee, Kansas, Detroit, um, you know, they all kind of were like buddy buddy with each other as like families. I guess Los Angeles too. They were all kind of connected. But yeah, no, I've heard of like Savella. Like there was two brothers, I think, and the Casey is dead as far as I know. Like as a family, they might have members who are still alive, but there's no real structure according to the feds, and it's mostly just like independent criminals now.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Kyle? Yeah, Roth, that's what he said. You stick to your trade, I'll stick to mine. That's right.
Yeah, I think Casino. There's the dude who has the heart attack.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be I forget his first name. I think it's his name is like Carl DeLuna in real life. I forget what his name was in the movie, but he's supposed to be like the Kansas City underboss.
Oh, shit. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because that movie, like, it's not it's mostly based on the Chicago outfit stuff, but there's some like the bosses that it shows is like Milwaukee, KC, Detroit, Chicago. Um, it's just supposed to be a bunch of random Midwestern families.
I forget who was supposed, because Tony Accardo was, dealing with that, the whole skim.
Yeah,
I,
I think Remo in the Casino movie is supposed to be based on Joey Aiupa, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
yeah, I don't know. I forget what they said. Uh, so I was listening to the Ruggiero tapes. I was putting something together with that. So Neil, right?
Yeah,
He was basically because he knew he was dying, so he was trying to save Angelo the whole time. Do you think that they didn't kill Paul right away is because they would have? Do you think Neil would have killed them?
probably. Like if you listen to that one wiretap, he's telling Gotti that like the boss is the like he's pretty much saying what separates us from like gangs or like the boss is the boss and like tradition. So like yeah, if they tried to kill Paul and they failed, if they did kill him, I don't know what he would do, but I think if they killed him and failed would be the issue, or tried to kill him and failed, then he would 100% hang them out.
Yeah, because the one was like, "I'm not giving up those tapes. I can't." And then John was like, "He's the boss. You got to do what he says." And then, but even John told Angela, he's like, "Tell me what cosa nostra means." And then he's
Yeah,
like, "Cosa nostra. I'm not giving you guys up. As friends." So I don't know. I
yeah.
think
This guy said, "What do you think the best?" I guess he means mob movie is. I'm gonna go with Donnie Brasco.
the best mob movie, the most realistic one, would be Donnie Brasco.
That's what I think. I think Donnie Brasco showed like the way they speak and like kind of just like how bummy they can be. Like like oh, dude, like this guy's stealing from fucking parking meters. Like and it definitely isn't glamorous in that movie. Like it shows them as a bunch of like barely scraping two penny, and that's what a lot of these guys are. For every rich mob boss, there's some soldier who like is in fucking gambling debt. Like it's you don't get rich by joining the mafia.
Nah, yeah. All right, so awesome person. That's Leo. Leo, what's going on? And
Yeah.
then um, Hippo said, "Whatever became of John Gotti's grandkids from the show growing up? Gotti, Carmine, John, and Frank."
Carmine Agnello went to prison for some sort of fraud or scam in like 2020. I don't know about the other two. Um, John's brother Peter's kids though are lunatics. There's a guy named John Gotti, not John Gotti, but like I guess he's named after John Gotti. It's John Gotti's nephew or grandnephew, and he's like a Banana associate.
This other guy, when associate gets nominated to be a made man, is his name floated to every family for approval? What's the actual procedure?
Yeah, that is a thing. They go around and ask like, does anyone have a problem with this guy? Because like for example, like let's say I'm a Columbo associate, and then like I'm kind of a rat or I fuck around with members and I get chased, and then all of a sudden I become like 10 years later I'm a Banana associate and I'm gonna get inducted. The Bananos can go to the Columbos and be like, hey, did you ever have an issue with this guy? And if they say, yeah, this dude's like a rat, etc., then I'm not gonna get fucking inducted.
Yeah. And then Filipino Life said The Sopranos seems a bit much the way the people were killed. Realistically, the way they were killed, I mean, what do you think?
I think realistically wise, like the way they're killed, like yeah, the mob does kind of get people in basements and shoot them, and there is broad daylight, like hits. That's not the issue. To me, the issue is how often it happens.
Yeah.
Like especially in like the mob in the 2000s wasn't killing people left and right. So it's like I always thought the show would make more sense if it was set like in the early to late 90s.
Yeah, for all you guys listening, the show isn't realistic because once Tony put his hands on Mikey, he would have been dead right away, and there would be no Tony Soprano.
Yeah,
Because
I'm like shocked that they just season one is a little goofy in that way. Like it's just like nothing comes of it. Like the guy's like technically I don't remember what his role is, like what his rank is in the show. I know he's close to junior, so maybe he's like junior's underboss or some shit. I don't know. You'd know more about that, but even if he was just a soldier, Tony can't do shit.
he was a captain and then a consigliere, but when he hit him, he was a captain. But also,
100%. Yeah, that would not happen.
yeah, plus he hits Ralphie in season three, he would have been dead right there and then.
Yeah, I agree that Jimmy Conway in real life, his name was Jimmy Burke. I agree that's like De Niro's best fucking picture or movie to me.
Uh, his best. Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't
He,
know, like he's good in The Godfather Part Two, but there's not enough of him. And like I don't know, I feel like gangster wise, Goodfellas is like the best portrayal of that.
yeah, Schultz was killed by Anastasia for going against the commission, and then he went against the commission. Anastasia was crazy. He was one of the most craziest guys. Then he got taken out by Tato Arello, who
Yeah, I don't think we actually know who the shooters are. Like I've heard that like Carmine Persico might have been one, but like it's kind of unknown.
yeah, supposedly Tato set it up. And Tato, he was close to Neil, uh, Kala.
Yeah. Do you know why Persico is called the Snake? Do you know why that's his nickname, Carmine the Snake Persico?
No,
So he was originally with Joe Gallo. He was a Gallo guy,
Crazy
and
Joe.
yeah, he switched to the Perfacci side and tried to strangle Gallo's brother.
Oh shit, that's right. That's why he's
That's what
called.
it's called. I don't consider Scarface a mob movie. It's a gangster movie. It's like a drug dealer movie. It's not a mob movie at all. It's not about the mafia.
Yeah, the real Scarface was Al Capone.
Yeah. If now that's what I'm saying, right? Like if it was like because the original movie he is an Italian guy, then maybe yeah, it would be a mafia movie.
Yeah, I liked Scarface, but I don't know. I
This guy's got some high words for Michael Francesi. You want to say anything about that?
Let's see. Does a great job filling in the blanks and making people realize that being in a mob is not. Ah, see, in the beginning when Francesi came out, he was, he had some good content. Now I put Sammy over him now. Even though Sammy keeps repeating the same stories over and over, he's consistent with his stories.
Yeah,
Mike,
I'm not a big fan of French. I feel like he changed the date of his like induction ceremony randomly and like I don't know, he's like very like he's okay for a starting point, but some of his stuff like he says like oh the mafia never used bombs, which isn't true. And like I don't know, like he knows some stuff obviously. He was a member, he was legit, but he's not like the be all end all.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, out of all of them, the the best one was Sammy because he had most the best stories. Even though
Nah,
he,
I mean, yeah, you know my opinion on Gravano. I don't like him either.
no, yeah, but his stories were the best. Even though he was the hero and everything, like the Johnny Keys hit, there was no better story than that so far.
Yeah, I mean, like I've mentioned a few times, if you're looking for like an ex-mob guy who makes YouTube videos, John Panisi, he was a Lucchese guy in like the 2010s. He makes pretty good videos. That's
Yeah.
kind of like my go-to if like we're talking like ex-mafia guys on YouTube.
Al Capone was crazy, but you think Jaime Weiss was scarier? I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I'm not prohibition stuff isn't really my forte. Who do you think shot Bugsy Siegel? I don't know about the actual shooter, but it was definitely commission approved.
Yeah, he. I'm gonna have to say probably. Oh yeah, I don't know who shot him, but Meyer Lansky probably had something to do with that.
Well, I don't know how much say Lansky because at this point the mafia is pretty much established, you know, and like you know the bosses are the bosses. I think Lansky had a lot of sway early on when it was kind of like a crime syndicate, but once it was like kind of became like an Italian organization, I think he could have said to Luciano like, "Hey, like don't do this," but I think if the other bosses, you know, said it, then Lansky couldn't really do shit at that point.
Um, I don't know. I heard a lot of ex mobsters talk highly of Lansky.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like he only really had sway with like the Genovese. Like I doubt Profaci or like, you know, Banano or like Anastate, like, you know, the early Gambinos. I don't think they really gave a shit about they might have respected him, but if all the families had an issue with Bugsy Siegel, I don't see one guy, you know, having power over telling them, oh, you can't do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Mike, I didn't ignore your comments. What'd you ask? Hey, Corky, what's going on?
Have you seen that Bugsy Siegel movie?
What was it called?
It's just called Bugsy. It has fucking Warren Betty or whatever in it. It's not very accurate though. Like there's a scene where he's like slapping around Jack Dragna, who in real life was like the Los Angeles boss. That would never have fucking happened, dude. Siegel was just a Jew. He was a Jewish associate. He wasn't a made guy. Like, just another bullshit. You know, whose side would it be on between Genovese and Costello? Probably Costello because Genovese was a bit of a scumbag and he was a drug dealer and I don't know.
I'd pick Frankenstein.
Uh, I have no idea about that. I haven't seen that show, but there are people in that like mob wife sphere who are connected. Like Tony Graziano's daughter, he was like a Banano consigliere. Jennifer Graziano, she is his kid, and she's in one of those shows. And Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of like people who are like somewhat related in those types of shows. So yeah, I don't doubt it. Even like one of the Perna brothers, who's a Lucchese member in New Jersey, he like beat the shit out of the husband of like one of those like Real Housewife people, and it was like a big case a few years ago. So yeah, though they definitely have some connection.
Yeah, Graziano, definitely. There's, yeah,
Yeah,
that's how
Kate.
it is, man.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say what you were saying. That's how it is everywhere now, in America at least.
Genovese's wife being a lesbian. I don't know about that. I know she supposedly had some sort of interest in like gay clubs, and like Genovese took advantage of that and was like extorting them. But I don't know about her herself being. I mean, maybe. I think they touch on that in that fucking Alto Nights movie, which by the way is shit. But
I'll, I'll
they
never
touch on
watch
that
that.
a little bit.
I'll never watch that.
Yeah, they make Chin Gigante look like an idiot.
Does he shoot Costello in that movie?
Yeah, that's how it ends. Oh, sorry, that's how it opens. He fucking he shoots Costello, and Costello survives, and he's like, "Sorry, boss." Like he looks like a dumb fucking henchman in the movie.
That's not Chin at all.
I recently watched Goodfellas. I'm like, I mean, it's your opinion. I think mob history wise, it's not great. Like, it gets some things wrong and like kind of blows Hill out of proportion. But as a movie, I think it's fucking great. The editing, the soundtrack, the way the story flows. Goodfellas is technically like when I was a teenager, that's what got me into like mob history was Goodfellas.
So yeah, Goodfellas. They all looked like they had good lives, but we did a video on all the movie people. If you see what these guys look like and what they've done, these slobs.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Fucking Paul. In real life, his name was Paul. Paulie was Paul Vario in real life. He was a rapist. He looked like shit. He was a fat slob. He was not this like kindly father figure that the fucking movie makes it look like he is.
The only one they got right, I think, was Pesci's character.
I don't know enough about the real guy. Again, like most of the stuff we know about Tommy in real life comes from Hill, and Hill isn't like a reliable witness, in my opinion. I think Burke or Conway, as he's called in the movie, is probably the most accurate, in my opinion.
Yeah, we think so.
Yeah, he was in real life though. He didn't just work for Lucchese's. He also was like dealing with like the Columbos and stuff.
Yeah, I heard that. Oh, another thing, because Sammy was talking about it last night uh, in his newest video. He was talking about Billy Bats and how he was made and all that shit. When we
We
know
don't
we
even, yeah, we don't even know if he was made in real life. That's kind of also just like a thing that Hill says. Highly overrated mob film was The Godfather. To me, The Godfather, it's a mafia movie, but it's like Star Wars to me. It's just like a classic, and it's a trilogy. And I don't really like the second one. I think it drags on for too long, but the first one is 100% a great movie and culturally is very significant.
So here's what happened with that Hippo. When the first one was coming out, I believe it was Joe Colombo. He didn't want the word mafia mentioned and all that. They had their hands in that movie, so we don't know if there would have been different things that happened. But I like the second one better than the first one. But as far as Italian tradition, I'm Italian. It was a good movie in that aspect.
Yeah. Michael Francesi said he didn't like Tommy Simone because he was a D Simone because he was a psychopath. Yeah, no, I've heard like he's a real guy. I'm not saying he isn't, but the whole like spider situation in the movie and stuff, that's kind of just Hill saying that. Like he probably was just a lunatic cokehead like enforcer in real life. Um, a lot of the stuff Henry Hill says in Goodfellas and the book is that's like the only thing that he can say. Like again, like Billy Bats was in real life from like not obituary, from like newspaper clippings, was like in his like late 20s, and the books were closed at that point. So Billy Bats probably wasn't made.
Yeah, the real Pesci character. Yeah, he was 6'5".
I gotta ask you guys the big one: what happened with Jimmy Hoffa? 100% the mafia killed him. Like that is not up for debate. I don't understand how it's called the Jimmy Hoffa mystery. We know he was killed by the mafia. He had connections. He was last seen in the company of two guys who were connected to the Detroit mafia. Detroit, the family probably were the ones who killed him, because that's kind of like where he was seen last, and that's kind of also who he was the most connected to. The Irishman like implies it was like fuck, what's his name? The Genovese guy, Tony Pro, and that's probably not true. And Frank Sheeran definitely didn't kill him. But yeah, the Detroit Cosa Nostra likely were the ones who actually did the work.
Just give me 1 second.
But yeah, no, I mean, as a movie, I like The Irishman, but yeah, no, he was murdered by the mafia, Hoffa, but it wasn't who the movie says it was. Again, it was probably some guys from Detroit.
Yeah, so what happened with Hoffa was he didn't want to step down. The mafia wouldn't. They said we need this other guy in. I forgot his name, but Hoffa just wanted to continue to be the guy, and then they clipped him.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I also think it's likely he probably at some point was considering going to the feds too. So because he was connected to all the skims, and like he was taking money from the union and like giving it to the mob for the casinos, essentially.
Yeah. What about the JFK hit?
I don't know. That's a whole nother fucking subject. I really doubt that Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone fucking shooter.
He wasn't. There's no way.
But
This-
I I can't definitively say who did it. I personally think it was, the U.S. intelligence community, and they were like partnered with different entities, including the mafia. Because we know guys Marcelo, the New Orleans boss, like was heard saying like, "Oh yeah, we got that fucker" or something like that. So I do think the mob was connected in some way, but I don't think they were the masterminds of it. Assuming that's true.
Well, the father was a bootlegger.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard that, but I've also heard he wasn't really. He just was like invested in it. Like he invested in like other bootleggers, Kennedy Sr. Yeah, no, Paulie, the guy who played him was like a low level Columbo associate.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know. I think they killed JFK.
I think they were involved. I don't think they were the ones who were like, planned it out. I think people in the government went to them and were like, "Hey, like we need your help with this." But you know what I mean?
Just think about it. So you have Lee R. Harvey Oswald. The guy looks like a complete dope. Then they kill him on on national TV. None of the cameramen are running. Like it looked like a big stage, and then they just whack this guy in front of the world.
Yeah, no, I like don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's not a conspiracy. I think there is something shady, but I don't think it's just this one thing. Or like, oh, it was just the CIA or it was just the mafia. The thing that makes the most sense is all these different fucking agencies were like intersecting with each other. And because a lot of people had issues with Kennedy, right?
Yeah,
How real is the Denzel Washington film, The Equalizer, where the Russian mafia guy comes to the U.S. and smacks around the Boston mob? I haven't actually seen that movie. I've seen the original show from the '80s, but that you got to understand the mafia, especially nowadays, doesn't really do too much business with other crime groups. Like they're pretty insulated. If they are, it's like white collar stuff. Like I know the Columbos supposedly with the gas scam were connected to like the Russians, but I don't know. It's possible that a guy would like get smacked around, but I think they would be kind of hesitant, if not so much because of like violent retribution, but it would affect business.
Yeah, 100%.
Back in the day, sure, like they'd probably get killed, but nowadays, yeah. But I don't know, man. Those the Russian like, there's different types of Russian mob shit, right? There's like the Bratvas, which are like their version of families, but then they also have like those thieves in law, which are the guys with like the star tattoos and shit, and you those guys are fucked, man. Sevilla, yeah, I think Sevilla had a brother too. Um, okay, maybe I'm mixing up Sevilla and Sevilla here, but there were two guys. Have you seen American Gangster? Yeah, I saw that a long time ago.
Was that the one with Frank Lucas?
Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I seen it. Frank Lucas, he worked with the feds, man.
yeah. And from what I understand, he also wasn't really that big of like a drug dealer as they made him out to be. Bumpy Johnson was like kind of the bigger guy.
Yeah, Bumpy Johnson was friends with Malcolm X.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not really into that type of like Harlem stuff. I don't know a lot about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I like Bumpy Johnson's story. I might want to do a documentary on that.
Yeah, Lucas cooperated at the end and he gave up a bunch of other drug dealers.
Yeah. Oh, Joey. Yeah, Frank Lucas. Nicky Barnes too. They all were rats.
Do you guys ever see Mob City? I haven't seen Mob City.
No, I didn't see that either.
I watched that Gangster Squad recently. It's about like the LA. It's not about Cosa Nostra. It's about like Mickey Cohen and shit. Um, it was okay. I found it kind of cheesy though.
He got a pretty bad case of Bumpy Johnson in college. What an idiot. Black
Yeah,
Mass.
yeah, man. I fucking love that movie, man. I and I'm glad it kind of went into like the Angelos and like the Patriarcha shit too. But no, that's an underrated fucking mob movie, man. Even though it's not technically a mob movie, it's still like it's good.
Unfortunately, I didn't see it.
You need to watch that, man. Like he's Whitey Bulger was a scumbag, but it's a good fucking movie.
I think that's why, because I hated Whitey Bulger.
Yeah.
It's all
Tulsa King. I saw the first season. I just found it kind of cheesy. I couldn't get into it.
I didn't get to watch it yet. I'll give it a chance.
I didn't really like it personally.
Mafia.
Mafia Braids hits. Is that like a TV show?
It sounds like that stuff on like the History Channel.
Give me a sec.
Yeah, in the 80s, late 80s, it started going downhill, man.
It's funny though, because like after the commission case, like all these families got fucked, and then the family that was fucked before the commission case became like the most powerful family, the Bananos. You know, um, because the Gambinos were fucked up after Gotti, Lucchese's were fucked up after Vicamuso, and that horrific admin. Um, Colombo was fucked up during the Colombo War between the Arena and Persico factions. Genovese was okay, and Bonanno kind of bounced back after the commission case in like the '90s and early 2000s. So the Bonanos, which historically have been one of the most dysfunctional fucking families, constant killing each other, um, getting fucking thrown off the commission because Donnie Brasco bounced back and became like one of the most powerful fucking families in New York.
The Iceman is the biggest liar. I wouldn't believe anything he says.
Yeah, that guy says he killed Kennedy. That guy's a fuck. He's not a mobster. He's a fucking serial killer who tried to attach his name.
But I heard the Iceman only killed like 2 people.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. There's a movie with him with Ray Liotta. It's not very good.
Yeah, Casino and Bronx Tale, of course. I liked Casino better, but Bronx Tale was good.
Yeah, Bronx Tale to me was like the PG-13 version of Goodfellas, but I really like the Bronx Tale. I don't know who Sonny is supposed to be in real life. I heard he's supposed to be like a Genovese guy, but yeah.
Yeah, the movie was good. They had some quotables. Mayor of Kingstown, I never heard of that.
But would you be on the Persico side or the Arena side of the Colombo War?
Definitely the Arena side.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean Persico wins, but like I don't know. Arena was like a street guy.
I just feel like Persico, he got so paranoid to where you don't know if he was going to kill you next.
Yeah. But it's funny though because like the guys who were like once Persico won like they some Arena guys got killed but for the most part if you were the Arena you remained a member like you were kind of like brought back into the family.
Yeah, I don't know why Persico was just, I don't know. He destroyed that whole family, man.
Well, it's funny because people are always like, oh, he's like the longest surviving like or longest like he was boss from like the late 70s to like 2019 when he was in prison so he's not really the longest serving boss because he was in fucking prison for like 90% of his like like I don't like obviously yeah sure you're the official boss even if you're in prison but his fucking sons his brothers were running things while he was in the can so
Yeah, I think the longest would be probably,
yeah, Musso at this point he's still in prison he's still alive
how many years is that?
he went to prison in like the mid 90s and he's still considered the Lucchese boss.
Oh, shit. Because I was going to say Tony Accardo, but
Oh yeah, I mean yeah I guess I'm talking about now about like guys who are like still alive But,
okay.
the thing with Ricardo though is he bounced between like he never remained as boss. Like he would be boss for like a few years, and then he'd be like, "Oh, I'm consigliere now. Oh, I'm underboss now." Like they'd kind of shuffle the admin to like keep things like keep people guessing. But yeah, like obviously a fucking super powerful guy.
Yeah. He is my favorite, I think.
He used to nail people to the floor if they didn't pay up. That's fucked. Yeah, most of these mob movies I like. Again, Donnie Brasco was probably the most accurate for like the day to day stuff. Goodfellas was my first, but I like most of them. There's obviously some real shitty ones. Like they made one recently, Mafia. I don't even remember what it's called. Mafia Cops. It's based on Louis that Esposito guy and the other guy. They were like two corrupt cops who did like hits on like behalf of the Lucchese's. But I watched the trailer and it looks like a fucking like what is it called? Like a Timu movie or something? Like super low budget. It just looks like dog shit.
Isn't that the guy that was in Goodfellas in the beginning? One of the cops?
Yeah. I think that was Esposito or the other guy.
Imagine getting cuffed by the cops and they're sending you to the mob.
Yeah, well, they would kill like Casso ordered them to like kill people and shit. So
That's insanity.
I hated Gotti with Travolta. Yeah, I don't like it, but I kind of like the Gotti Junior parts where it shows like what was going on while Gotti was in prison on the street. I don't mind those parts.
I just couldn't see Travolta as Gotti.
Yeah, yeah. 96 is good. It's kind of weird that movie is like a weird like proto Sopranos because there's so many people from the Sopranos in it. It seems like a weird like off-brand Sopranos episode based in the Gambinos.
Bump and Sarah played a great Angelo Ruggiero. He sounded just like him too.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, no, it's a good movie. Capone. I watched it a long time ago. I think people were expecting that to be like a biopic, but instead it's like kind of a weird character study of him when he has dementia and shit.
So this guy lives in Scotland. He had a real scary guy called Arthur Thompson from the 50s to the 80s. He ran Glasgow. He used to nail people to the floor.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I was reading that one. That's fucking nuts.
What was he part of like a crew beat?
Who?
I was calling the guy's name his beep.
The Scottish guy?
Let me
I don't
see.
know. I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't know how like English or like UK kind of like criminal gang. I think they're just gangs. Like they don't really have like mafia families over there.
Yeah.
I mean, they might have some like Ndrangheta, like Calabrian cells, but like Cosa Nostra wise, I'm not aware of anything in England.
No, they're not out there. Hey,
Yeah.
what's going on, Tyrese? The Thompson gang? I gotta look them up. I never heard of them.
Yeah. There's a lot of like Australia though has a lot. Again, it's like Ndrangheta, so it's like the Calabrian. It's not like the Sicilian or like Italian American. It's like a Calabrian organization, but it's like their own thing. But they're in Australia, they're in Canada, they're in a lot of like European countries. They have, I mean, I've talked to you before about the Ndrangheta. They have like it's like the mafia on steroids. Like they have way more like ceremonies and the way they're. It's not like a boss, underboss, soldier. It's like clans of like guys who are inducted, and then each guy has like a different role.
Yeah, the Andron get they're like the cartels. They work
Yeah,
with.
they have way more in common with the cartel than the mafia. All right, so yeah.
All right, brother. Joey. Um, I was just gonna say something. I lost my thought. Um, yeah, you guys are ball breakers.
So yeah, yeah.
Paul Ferris, who is Arthur Thompson's enforcer, called the Wee Man. I'll check it out. You know, I'm interested in some stuff in the EU. Um, you had the craze. I didn't really like them though.
Apparently, well, apparently that like one of them, I know one of them was gay, but apparently he was also like a pedophile too. So
Uh, yeah.
the only like one from like the Europe that I kind of keep up with is the Kinahan cartel. They're like a Irish gang. Um, they are like one of the biggest coke suppliers like throughout Europe, and it's like a literal family. It's Daniel Kinahan and like his brother and like sons, and they're like in Saudi Arabia or Dubai or something, hiding out because they're like wanted. It's fucking nuts.
What's their name? The Kenahan?
Kinahan, it's like Kinahan. They're an Irish group.
I gotta look them up. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's a lot of these like current modern European gangsters. They live in Dubai because like it like shields them from getting deported back to their places of origin.
Every time I read up on Dubai, I hear it's one of the most shittiest places to go visit.
Well, no, I've heard the opposite. I've heard it's really nice, like as a city, but it's it's super they have Sharia law and shit, and like you can't drink. If you steal, you'll get your like it's very strict. Especially for a Westerner.
Yeah.
But visually, it's appealing, and I'm sure if you have enough money, most people would look the other way. Oh yeah. I've heard of lions. I wasn't there like some Scottish guy shot to death recently. Again like I don't really follow this stuff, but Kinahan's like the only like EU group I kind of follow.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I gotta check them out. Yeah, yeah. I've been hearing Dubai is horrible. I don't know. It's like a
I don't know.
Vegas.
I always kind of heard that it like again like it's nice and it's like a really clean country, but like it's just draconian.
Yeah, like Vegas.
I mean, you probably get a lot. You could get away with a lot in Vegas. You wouldn't get away with in Dubai.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah, it's funny. If I'm ever in Vegas, I'll probably go to the Mob Museum. You know.
I was there. I liked it. I saw they had the wall where Capone shot everybody up. They had a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I think while he was alive, Frank Collada was like a speaker there, talking about all like the Tony Spilotro, like Chicago, Vegas crew stuff.
Yeah, I liked Colada.
Yeah, I towards the end he got a little weird. Like he was saying, like, "Oh, I was inducted into like the Vegas family." There was no Las Vegas family. It was just the Chicago outfit. They had like a crew there, essentially.
Yeah, I know you hate Gravano, but I don't know. He said he that he did get made, but
No, 100% no. That's not like it's not in any. If he did, like that whole like Chicago family secrets trial, like where Nick Calabrese, he talked about Spilatro's murder. He gave like a list of like Chicago members. Colada's name like didn't really come up at all.
yeah, yeah, he had good stories. The hole in the wall gang.
So fucking Leo Risotto is still rotting in jail. They're still going after these Montreal guys.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
They're
Is it?
playing the long game. There's still guys who are like wanted, who are like on the run.
Um, I think I was reading about that today. Actually, I think
They're fucked, man.
the guy in the other room, Nort, was saying something.
I haven't watched the Crazy Joe movie.
No, I didn't see it.
But yeah, no man, like now that like Risotto is like Rizzuto is arrested. I don't know, their family, assuming they even are a family and they're not still like a banana offshoot, they're fucked. I think other like Sicilian clans are gonna take over. You heard about the thing where like Leo was like inducting guys over like the phone or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Who was that guy that I don't know if you posted or somebody else posted it where he had the Omerta tattoo?
That's Paul Carparelli. He's a current Chicago outfit guy. And he started off as like a street gang guy, and then he got inducted for some reason, and now he has Omerta as a tattoo.
So he's still he's a soldier.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, he might even be a capo at this point, but yeah, he's a soldier with the Chicago guys. I think he's with like the Grand Avenue crew, but I could be wrong. Elmwood, maybe he's with Elmwood, but he's definitely a made guy in Chicago.
Why would he get that tattoo? That's the most stupidest thing I ever heard.
He also owns a motorcycle apparently that has a picture of Al Capone on it, so he's very tongue in cheek.
That's ridiculous.
You gotta. The thing is, man, like nowadays, if you want to be in the mafia, you kind of gotta also be into it or like grow up into it. So a lot of these guys kind of romanticize it themselves.
Yeah, the Untouchables. Oh shit! I saw it once, but I forgot everything.
Yeah, I saw it a long time ago. It's pretty good. I don't like De Niro as Capone though. It doesn't really. I don't know.
No,
I know it doesn't really. I don't know.
no, he can't play. He sucks. Oh shit! Really? Damn. That's crazy. I don't know. I don't like De Niro.
I like him as an actor. He's very like I don't know. He's always crying about something at like the Oscars and shit.
I don't even like him as an actor. I think his best thing was Goodfellas. I
No, I like
just
him as an actor, man. I like Taxi Driver, all those like old ones from like the 70s. Like he as an actor, he's good. It's just the fucking again, like even the Irishman, I think he's really good in the Irishman. And just the scenes where he's sitting down, not the scenes where he's pretending to be a fucking 45-year-old.
I liked Pacino. I always liked Pacino better.
Yeah. I like Pesci the best out of all three of them, I think.
Pesci. If I saw him in the street back in the day, I would have thought he was definitely made.
Yeah, I think like a few guys have said that. Like Pesci is like the closest to like how they talk and act.
Yeah, and there was one other actor that was good at it. What was his name? Shit, a lot of Sopranos guys did pretty good actually.
Yeah, most of the actors in the show are good, and like some of them are like actually connected. Like the guy who plays, I think Larry Barisi and the brother, they were like Gambino associates at one point.
Yeah, yeah, Larry boy. He was even the way he talked, you could tell.
Ah. Well, he was in Goodfellas too. Remember, he plays the fucking
The waiter, the restaurant owner.
Yeah, have you guys heard the Sean Connery Johnny Stompanato story? I haven't, but Johnny Stompanato was a fucking piece of shit, dude. He was. Do you have you heard about that guy? He was like a Los Angeles associate, and he was dating Lana Turner, who was like a famous actress in the 50s, actress. And he was beating the shit out of her one day, and the daughter came and stabbed him to death while he was doing it.
What?
Yeah, it's a very famous story. He was a lot. I guess he was like around Mickey Cohen, but he was like a Los Angeles associate, and he was like beating the shit out of this actress who he was, dating, and the actress's wife fucking sorry, the actress's daughter fucking killed him.
Oh my god.
LA is weird, man. Like they used to call it like the Mickey Mouse Mafia. Like they didn't have a lot of made guys, but they were a family. So that's like I don't really understand why Ravana was like, oh, I don't like because there were meetings between Los Angeles guys and the Gambinos. So like I don't understand why Gravano was like, oh, I don't know if there's a family in Los Angeles. Like, dude, you're the underboss. Like you should know the basic fucking Cosa Nostra history. You know what I mean?
He was saying something recently where if it wasn't the commission, they basically didn't matter.
I mean, I don't. But he can think that, but like it's shown time and time again that like guys from smaller families like Philly and shitty little like San Francisco crime family, they're still considered families.
So here's something you're gonna probably laugh at. So he said, because I know you don't listen to him, Gravano said he's not allowed in New York, and the reason why he said is because somebody in Washington D.C. told him that there's a lot of people that love him there, and if he goes back, he'll start a family again and start taking over New York.
That's bullshit. I've noticed a lot of these fucking rats say that. Like that Bobby Luisi, who was like a Philadelphia member, he's a rat and he's a YouTuber now. He's like, oh, Joey Merlino said I was allowed to start the Luisi crime family. Get the fuck out of here. Like all these rats, like they think they're still gangsters, man. Like Gravano, dude, are you really telling me with the Sicilians in power of the Gambinos, like Lorenzo Menino and Dom Cefalu, these like hardcore guys, they're running the Gambinos now, the Sicilian faction. You really think they're gonna let Gravano do anything like that? And again, Menino apparently was like liked Gotti, and he was like like he respected Gotti. So even though he's like a Sicilian, like he's a Zip, he's still a Gambino member. He's still gonna be like, yeah, this guy's a rat. He put away a bunch of fucking guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Sammy, fucking again, and I've told you this, ad nauseum, right? That
yeah.
Sammy fucking still thinks he says like, "Oh, I only ratted on Gotti," which is bullshit, dude. He ratted on multiple Gambino guys. He ratted on Colombo guys like Vic Arena. He ratted on Genovese guys. So his story doesn't fucking hold up.
And then he claimed that he tried to help Lacasio. That
No,
Gotti.
dude, he fucking testified against
I
Lacasio. Like,
I know. And then he tried. He said, "Yeah." Then I tried to help him out because Gotti didn't let him say it. The lawyer kept something secret. It was about one of the hits. I think it was Louis de Bono or something. Something. One of them where he wasn't even involved in, where he would have been set free. Supposedly, that's what he said.
and that's the other thing about these fucking rats, man. Like, even like Dom Sakale. Vinny Basciano was my best friend, and I loved him, so I ratted on him. Like, what the fuck are you talking? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I had to. It's like, no, you didn't. Fucking Basciano's doing like life in prison in like a shithole. You know, he could have ratted. He didn't. You know.
And then, oh, he said this yesterday too. So, well, who was it? Peter Gotti that did like 50 years or something, and then
No, Gene
Gene,
Gotti.
Gene, yeah. So Gene did what, 50 or 30 something years,
I don't know about in total, but yeah, he went away for a long. Like he got released in like 2020 something.
and then who else got pinched for him? Do you remember?
Uh, for the heroin, it was Gene and Ruggiero and some other like Zip. Oh, it was probably one of the Cherry Hill like Gambino guys, like Rosario or something.
Yeah. So Gravano said yesterday that Gene would have only got 8 years, but Gotti told him to stand trial, and so he did, and that's why he got hit with so much.
I mean, that's possible. Like that might be one of the things that is true, but also it was more so the fact that he was dealing fucking heroin.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, Sonny Franchise. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, he is. He was a tough fucking guy. He wasn't the underboss though. He was underboss in the 2000s when he got out of prison, but Franchese claims he was underboss while Franchese was, active, which isn't true.
What do you think about Joey Merlino when he said that he's a rat because he harbored a rat?
Well, he's not a rat because he didn't cooperate, but I can see how it does look kind of bad that he's still supposedly associated with a rat.
Yeah.
Um,
Joey's just a different breed, man.
yeah, Merlino is he's like the type of like I follow him on Instagram and I've like he's messaged me or I've messaged him about some shit before, but like I see what he likes and he's always liking these like random like mafia history pages. So it's like the guy claims that like it's not real and that like he doesn't know anything, but I think he's one of those guys again who also kind of gets off on it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a mafia guy." But it's very like tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know, man. Merlino's legit. He's not. I doubt he's the Philly boss. He probably is shelved at this point. So
Yeah. Who, I forget what's his name running it now.
or Gacy.
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys are still associating with Merlino too. Like Michael Lancelotti, who was like the street boss at one point. He was like at Merlino's cheesesteak restaurant. So
I,
being shelved is more of like this is just to appease New York type of thing.
whatever happened to the guy Hootie that was with Gene Barello that got beat up?
And he just got the shit beat out of him, and then nothing really happened after that. But even then, that guy's a fucking he was a nobody. He was like a drug dealer that was like connected to some Gambino associates. But he makes it sound like a even Borello, dude. Like Borello was like a tough guy with that Howard Beach Banana crew. Like he was a violent guy, but he's claiming Borello's always like I was about to get made and then I ratted. It's like no, you weren't. Yeah, Johnny, that is a really great performance. And again, if you're into like the boss, the the patriarcha like LCN stuff, it mentions a lot of stuff like Jerry and Julo and like because the patriarcha family, it's kind of split between Boston and Providence. There's like Providence guys, and then there's um Boston guys, and it's The Departed is good too. Like I forget the guy's name, the main character or the main bad guy, Costello. He's supposed to be based on Bulger, and there's like a scene of like some like Providence like mafia guys getting killed, and I don't know. It's good, man. I like the New England stuff.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, he plays a he that his role in The Departed is like loosely based on Whitey Bulger.
Yeah, yeah, Nicholson's good.
How accurate was Casino? I think Casino is pretty accurate about the skim. The only thing that's not like again, they don't mention names. They just say, "Oh, back home," which means Chicago. But then all the bosses at the end, like where there's like a bunch of bosses, each one is supposed to represent like a different Midwestern family. So like Remo, like the main guy, is supposed to be Joey Upa, the Chicago outfit boss, and then the other guys are like Kansas City or like Detroit or like Milwaukee. They're supposed to represent those families.
I would say like 30% of Casino would be true because that was Collada's story. So,
Yeah, no, like the events are true again. It's just like the names and shit are changed. Like
oh yeah,
Nicky Santoro is is Spilatro. He's supposed to be Spilatro. The only thing that's like one of the things that isn't accurate is that him and his brother are killed in a field and then buried. In real life, like Nick Calabrese, who was a Chicago outfit member, he testified that they were brought to a basement in Chicago and beaten to death by fists and then taken to a field and buried.
yeah. That's exactly what Collada said. The same thing. I
Yeah,
guess.
Chicago never really had like a rat until that family secrets trial with like, Nick Calabrese and them.
And that was when Carter was out of the business, right?
That was when who was out of business?
Uh, Tony
Colada.
Carter.
Oh yeah, yeah, this is like 2000, like I'm talking about like 2000 something.
Okay.
So like New York, they had their big cases in the 80s and then Chicago had their big case in like the 2000s. But all these guys were old as fuck by this point. Like even if they went to jail, like Joey the Clown Lombardo, like he was an old guy. It didn't really matter at that point.
Did Nicky and his brother had it coming? Yeah.
Movie wise, yes. In real life, I don't even really know why they were killed. I think it was just kind of like the movie kind of makes it sound like oh they were too like violent and they were too bringing too much heat. I think that is partially true, but I also think they were like accused. I think Calabrese testified that they were accused of like not kicking up. They were like withholding money or something like that. So there's different kind of reasons for it.
Yeah, before Collada died, he kind of explained a little bit about it. I can't remember because I watched it like 5, 6 years ago. But uh, Spilatra, he was just off the wall, nuts.
Yeah, like I said, there's different reasons. It wasn't just because he was nuts. There was a monetary thing involved, but yeah, I don't know. The Chicago outfit was always like the most violent, I would say, um, compared to New York.
Oh yeah. Uh, do you think? Oh, we probably talked about this where Chicago with the whole commission because they weren't really with the commission.
No, they were. they had a commission. They were on the commission early on, like like early on when the commission was created.
Yeah.
Um, Over time, like by the 80s, they were still formally on the commission, but they were represented by the Genovese. So
So
like Genovese would like speak on their behalf, pretty much.
so how are they making guys? Were they making pure Italians with Napolitans?
The out Chicago outfit, kind of like the rest of the American families. If you were Italian, yeah, I don't know of any like half Italian, like in New York that happened a lot, half Italian, etc. Chicago, I don't know of any members who are half Italian. But it was like the other families. They were still inducted with like a burning saint and like the finger pricking. Nick Calabrese testified that when he was inducted, he was told to hold the fucking fire as long as possible to test like is this guy a pussy, pretty much. Um, but the only real difference with the outfit is they had a lot of non-Italian high-ranking associates, like especially early on.
Yeah.
Like Jake Guzik. There was another guy who was like Welsh, and he was like, you know, FBI listed him as like a lieutenant, which isn't a real rank, but he was like Murray Humphreys, that's his name. He was like just like a very high-ranking political guy that was like respected by the leadership, and you know, um, yeah, no, the Chicago. I think if you're not Italian at all, Chicago outfit was like the best for you.
A lot of money too.
Yeah. Was Ace Rothstein anything like Lefty Rosenthal? Yeah, I mean, again, in real life, like he wasn't really a gangster. He was just like a money guy. And I
Yeah.
think even in like the movie, he's not really a gangster. Like, what I mean, he's just an associate, you know.
Yeah, and that whole thing with him wanting to be in the spotlight, that was true.
Yeah, he did have a show, yeah. Yeah.
I think that you could see the shows on YouTube somewhere. I think I
Yeah, you can find some. There's like one with like I don't think it's Dean Martin, some other like famous like singers on his show. Keep the questions coming.
yeah, where is everybody?
There's like 15 in here. It's jumped down to 9. It's still a pretty good crowd.
Let me try and do something really quick. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. The Kimura is not structured at all. It's very gangish. Um, for example, like they did have ceremonies early on. The Kimura, from what I've heard, is like the oldest organization, and they did have like tattoos, and they had ceremonies early on, like Masonic type stuff. But now they don't make guys. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm working for this guy. It's almost like a street gang now, but they're still clans. Ndrangheta is like the most like intricate in terms of like inductions and traditions. With the Ndrangheta, like you don't really get inducted. Like if you're the son of a mobster, you're automatically a member, but then you'll get like a ceremony for something else. Like, oh, this guy's getting promoted, and then they'll do like a ceremony for that.
So yeah, the Camorra versus Cosa Nostra, they're two totally different.
Yeah, I was just talking about it with him.
Yeah, the Camorra is more. Actually, I don't know because Sicily, they were blowing up judges and prosecutors, and it was they were both terrorists.
Overall, any of these organizations, Ndrangheta, Sicilian Cosa Nostra, Listida, Camorra, that Union Corsica, whatever it's called, they're all like they're kind of like the cartel. Into they'll kill women, they'll kill kids, they don't give a fuck.
Camorra, yeah, the Camorra and Cosa Nostra were around since like the 1600s.
There's like a myth that like the Ndrangheta apparently bring up in a ceremony where they're like there was like 3 knights from Spain, and like one of them founded Camorra, one of them founded Cosa Nostra, one of them founded Ndrangheta. It's not true. It's just like an urban myth, but apparently a lot of these, like especially the Ndrangheta guys, they like tell it to members and stuff.
I mean, that it could be a myth. Yeah, I mean, a lot of Spanish did go around those regions in the south.
No, it's good that you're asking questions. I wish more people would ask questions, man. It keeps the conversation going. It's good. I like talking about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something to bring up that I was watching. Yeah, I was reading like the what ifs. Like, what if, let's say Paul went away, Neil dies, all that. Who would be boss? Uh,
Yeah.
would it have been Tommy Gambino? I think.
Possibly, if we're going the nepotism route, yeah. I think any of those. I think the Sicilian faction would take over a lot earlier.
Yeah.
What's the mob's opinion of cartels? I don't know. I've never really heard of any involvement.
All right. So, you want to hear another Gravano story?
Sure. Yeah.
So somebody asked him who would win, the Cosa Nostra or the cartel. He said Cosa Nostra because they were like they're they were hitters, like they were planned and strategically took people out. That they would win on that.
But the thing is, though, man, is the cartel literally has tanks and
I
fucking
know.
like they're fucking paramilitary at this point.
That's
So
why.
yeah, no, man, that's fucking like the mafia. I think originally at their peak had way more like political clout. Um, but they weren't like, if we're talking like sheer numbers and force, it's the cartel, man.
Yeah, and the power weapons. If this was the 20s, 30s, Capone era, I would say Cosa Nostra, but now no one's worse than the cartel.
I mean, I don't know. It's possible they did do business. I think most of the drug pipeline, though, they would have preferred to use like their Sicilian, because a lot of the Sicilian families were like importing heroin, mostly the Bananos and Gambinos. They would like get in contact with those two families in New York and like push heroin through them. Like the whole, there's the whole French connection and like the pizza connection, etc.
Yeah, they were moving it from France and Canada. The boats.
Yeah, it's mostly Bonanno, Gambino, and then a little bit of Lucchese, which was doing the drug dealing. Colombo and Genovese. Well, I mean, I guess Genovese himself was, but like family wise, Colombo and Genovese didn't have as much drug dealing as the other three.
Yeah, plus the Gambinos and the Genovese. They controlled the ports. You had the Bananos. Yeah, they were the Lucchese's. I don't think they were really involved much with
No,
the.
they were like there were guys like fuck, I forget his name. It's something stupid, but like it was like him and his brother. They were Lucchese members. It's like Joe something. I gotta go back and get his name, but they were like really big. Even Carmine Tremonti, Mr. Gribbs, he was like the acting Lucchese boss. He was like, big into drugs too. He's the guy who in Goodfellas, Paulie's talking to Henry, and he's like, "Don't get involved in junk, otherwise you're gonna do like 100 years like Gribbs." And he's talking about Tremonti.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
But no, yeah, like the mob, they've always been dealing drugs. Who do you think were most vicious and most noble? Um, I mean, they're all fucking. To be honest with you, they're all criminals. So I don't know about noble, but I would say early on the Bananos seemed to be the most tradition bound. Uh, vicious. Oh yeah, vicious. It's Columbo and Banano. nowadays from like the 80s to now. Uh, Noble, I would say at this point, probably the Gambinos and Genovese are the most like stickler for the rules type.
The most vicious, I would have to go with of the all time. Even though the Gambinos had the most shooters, they didn't really. They didn't need to fight. They were feared, but the Colombo,
It's Colombo 100%. They're like the obvious answer.
yeah, that's
Banano and Colombo are the most violent.
yeah. Colombo's a number one.
Lucchese, historically was very like middle ground. Like if the Genovese and Gambino are like the old school like kind of families, and Badano and Colombo are kind of the black sheep. Lucchese is like in the middle. They were pretty peaceful until Vicamuso took over, and that's when they started like killing people left and right.
Oh yeah,
But that's just the five families. If we're talking about the mafia in general, Chicago and Philly too, like both very violent fucking families.
yeah. Philly was like the Colombos on steroids.
Yeah. But the thing with the Columbos is they've just had so much like internal warfare. Like a lot of the shit in The Sopranos is like I feel like is based on the Colombo Wars. You know?
The Colombo Wars, definitely. They mention it like 3 times. I think they mentioned the Colombo Wars.
Yeah, I would say the most embarrassing family to be in is probably the Bananos. Like they don't when they induct people, like according to like cooperators, they literally just tell you, "Oh yeah, you're made," which is funny because early on they were like one of the most Sicilian families, but now like they're inducting people weirdly. And John Panisi, that Lucchese YouTuber guy I mentioned, he said that like on the street the Bananos are the least respected because of the whole like Joe Messino, their boss, being a rat, and just the way they conduct themselves, like getting in fights at funerals and stupid shit.
They probably send text messages of like a burning saint. Hey, you're made.
Yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, they're probably the easiest family to get made into. A lot of the guys inducted into the Bananas are just like, especially nowadays, they have a lot of guys who are just like street dudes who are like gangsters, and they like get inducted if they make enough money. Um, Gambino and Genovese are way harder to get into, I think, as members.
Yeah, especially. I think it's probably harder to get into the Genovese.
Yeah, they're like they're called the Ivy League, right? They're the most like business oriented.
Yeah.
Movie lover S. I don't know what that means.
Anyone else got questions? What was the commission's thoughts on Capone?
He was a he was a mafia member. He was inducted. Technically, Capone was a Genovese guy who was sent out to Chicago, so he would have been like accepted as like the boss, and he was on the commission. Like again, Chicago was on the commission, so he went away though to prison. So like the guys after him, like Frank Nitti, etc., would have been way more like tight with the commission.
I didn't really like Frank Nitti.
Yeah, I mean he was just kind of like a early boss, like right after Capone. It kind of bounced between him and then Paul Rica. Paul Rica was probably the first like big fucking boss. Um, and then obviously Accardo and Iupa, etc. later on.
Didn't
James
Nitti
Marcello.
didn't Nitti take himself out?
He hung himself, I think. Yeah.
Sick bastard.
But yeah, no, a lot of people don't like if other Chicago guys have like said that like Capone was inducted in New York, and then he was like sent out pretty much to take over from I don't know. The New York guys had designs on Chicago, and they kind of like Capone was like their man type of thing. But then once Capone got to Chicago, he started like fucking around.
He was a terrorist.
Pretty much, yeah, dude. Violent fucking city. Frank Neary was kind of a scumbag. I don't know. I don't really know about. I don't know if he was. All I know is he killed himself. That he's kind of like a nothing boss to me. He just kind of fills the gap between Capone and then Paul Ricca, who was the boss after that.
Yeah, Johnny Torrio was Capone's mentor.
Yeah, but I don't know if Torrio was inducted. He might have just been like an old guy. You got to remember a lot of these early Chicago guys were Camarista, like they were from Naples.
Yeah.
So Capone was inducted into Cosa Nostra. I don't know about Torrio though. Yeah, there's not a question. Yeah, dude, Tony Soprano was murdered. That's obvious. It's like like it's all set up towards that. I feel like.
Yeah, I go back and forth because they killed Phil in front of his family. Why not Tony in front of his?
I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like the whole point is like he's fucked either way, right?
Yeah. It's like the commission case. Paul
Yeah,
was gone.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You're 100% right, dude. Like, even if Castellano didn't get murdered, he would have fucking gone to prison for like 100 fucking years.
Yeah. The reason he wanted those tapes was for his lawyers so he could fight his case, but he would have still did 100 years anyway.
Yeah. But
They
no,
did
like
him.
what you said earlier about like, oh, if Castellano doesn't get murdered, I think the Zips just take over early on. Like that's who's running the Gambinos now. Like is Cefalu and Menino and like these like Gambino Zips. They would have just taken power a lot earlier.
So let's see. We had Joe Gallo was still there. He was who else was there? Tommy Gambino. You had Frankie DeChico. Assuming nothing,
The Chico probably would have been boss for a while.
Yeah, he was smart. Who else was there? Joe Bellotti. Well, Tommy Bellotti would have did 100 years too, right?
Yeah, in my opinion, it's just the Zips pretty much take over that family.
I don't think they would have been able to with that crew, with Frankie DeChico's crew.
And the thing is, though, man, is like the Cherry Hill Gambinos were still super powerful, like Rosario Gambino, not Tommy Gambino, Carlos' son. There's another Tommy Gambino, um, John Gambino. A lot of these, cousins and shit, pretty much. They like the Cherry Hill Gambinos were like super powerful in the Gambino family, but they the problem is a lot of the American guys were like, oh, these guys are just like dumb zips. But hey, look, they're running it now, so they probably could have just started earlier.
Yeah. Matt, I don't know what you're talking about.
Sheeran was like a corrupt union official. I don't see him murdering anyone.
No.
He was just trying to sell a book so his fucking family would have money. But no, he did know Hoffa. Like, there's photos of them together,
Oh yeah.
but he's not the fucking killer. Keep up with the questions. I like the questions. Questions are good. Also, in case anyone doesn't know, in real life, the DeCavalcante family, which Sopranos is based on, they're active in Elizabeth, not Newark.
Yeah, I saw something the other day. Somebody was asking that. Was saying that it was based on Newark, but that wasn't true.
Yeah, North Jersey is mostly like you know, they have like the Lucchese's up there, and like South Jersey, like Atlantic City, had a Philadelphia crew, so like Jersey was always kind of like split apart.
I forgot who killed Crazy Joe. What's his name?
The shooter, I don't even know if we know that, to be honest with you. That
I,
could have honestly been Persico.
I could see that.
A lot of these hits like that, like Anastasia, Joe Gal, like the reason these dumb fucks keep saying, "Oh, I did that," is because they know no one actually knows who did it.
Right.
So it's kind of easy to get. Like I could say I fucking, after that Charlie Kirk thing, dude, I could say, "Oh, I did that," and like people aren't gonna say like, you know what I mean? Like you can't really prove anything that fucking people say.
All amicable on the barbershop floor. Albert and Anastasia. And then who was he with? Tommy Rava?
I'm not too sure. Russ Buffalino seemed kind of an honorable guy. Yeah, I mean, in the movie, sure. In real life, he wasn't as powerful. Uh, you know, he was, he had his own family in Pennsylvania, but he was kind of under the thumb of Angelo Bruno in Philly, to be honest with you.
What is the status of my file? Tell me who you are.
I don't know. I don't really want to get into the whole Charlie Kirk shit. I just kind of mentioned him as like an example of like if you don't know who did it, all cards are on the table pretty much. I don't want to get into like political fucking arguments.
Yeah.
The mob didn't kill him, if that's what you're asking. But I agree though that there's something weird. The mob. Why was Angelo killed? Angelo Bruno, because Antonio Caponigro, his consigliere, wanted to sell drugs, and Bruno. I don't know. Bruno was like taking too big of cuts of people, so Caponigro kind of put the plan in motion. After speaking to the Genovese, and the Genovese were like, "Oh, do what you got to do," and then Caponigro has Bruno killed, and then the Genovese call him over and like, "Why the fuck did you do that?" He's like, "Oh, I thought you said it was okay," and they're like, "That's not what we meant." So they played some mind game as like an excuse to have him killed for their own reasons, but the Genovese could have more territory in Philly, and then Caponigro gets beaten to death, and fucking Bills gets stuffed up his ass. Are the
Yeah.
five families done with the union rackets? There's still busts. Like there was some Gambino bust from like a few years ago where they were involved with like the dock. So I imagine there still is some union stuff, but it's more legitimate. Anyway, sorry, serious. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna answer the Angelo Bruno, but you already did.
Yeah, but Philly is like just it goes from Bruno getting killed, and then Phil Testa becomes boss very briefly. Then he gets fucking blown up, and that's when Scarfo kind of gets placed in power, and just a shit show from there.
Philly and Eddie. My uncle made me do it.
Yeah, I mean that's a really if you're interested in the Philadelphia mob, read Mafia Prince by Philip Leonetti. He was like he was underboss under Scarfo. Scarfo was his uncle. And yeah, he goes into detail of like what happened in the 80s and how Nicky was like killing people left and right. And then, obviously Scarfo goes to prison, and John Stanfa who's some random Gambino associate, gets inducted into Philly and placed in power. And then the whole Joey Merlino war starts because Merlino was the son of Chucky Merlino, who was the old underboss. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the history of like the 10-second history of the Philadelphia mob.
I would hate it too if they called me bananas.
Are the Oh yeah, they did it The Sopranos. I don't know.
I wonder how long that documentary is gonna be.
Um, I don't even know if it's like a single one or if they're gonna make it into like episodes because I
Uh,
know with Fear City, that other Netflix mafia documentary. It was like split into 3 parts. But I don't know, it seems like Philadelphia, like it's more cut and dry, you know?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna learn anything from it.
When I saw John A. Light was in it, I'm like, yeah, I don't even want to
I
fucking
s-
watch this. Why some random ass like New York associate in a fucking Philadelphia documentary?
And he's a politician now.
Wonder if they're gonna put that John Gandolfini. What do you
Uh,
mean?
yeah, I don't know. Gandolfini was half, wasn't he half Irish?
Uh, I mean,
That's a good.
Bruno probably, because after Bruno gets killed, it goes to shit.
Uh, Let me think about that one. I would say Castellano.
Maybe even Columbo, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, I just want the right reason I say Castellano is I would have loved to see what would have happened after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with Castellano.
I'm gonna go Bruno.
What else you got, guys? We got 11 people in here right now.
Not bad.
Dr. Melfi. What's that got to do with Mafia?
Dutch Schultz, Sirius can answer that because again, like I'm not really into the prohibition shit. I mostly am into like when the like I would say like the 50s to now, like when it's like completely organized.
I didn't really like Dutch Schultz. I didn't pay too much attention to him. I was more focused on the Italians.
Which family would you not want to be inducted? Like, I think one of the worst families to be inducted into would be like one of those families like San Francisco. You know, like those families that are like barely fucking. They're families, but they're not really like they're recognized, but they're not really like they're not doing anything. Pretty much, like even Los Angeles was pretty flimsy.
Um, Honestly, the Colombo family.
Yeah, New York, yeah, definitely. I
I would
still rather go Columbus than San Jose and shit, right?
I wouldn't want to be in the Colombos. No way.
Nowadays, it's not really an issue though. That's like more of a historical fucking issue. Henry Hill, how big is a lie? He was a low-level Lucchese associate who was a drug dealer and had some gambling going on. Um, he, especially with the movie, overinflates his importance. You know, he was not getting fucking tables at the Copacabana. Um, and just like a lot of the shit he says, like again with like Billy Bats, like I'm sure Bats was murdered over something, but he wasn't a inducted member of Cosa Nostra, or likely wasn't at least. And the whole spider thing, there's no evidence that that person even existed. So he's probably just trying to like make shit up to like seem more important than he actually is. But like the basic stuff is true. He was a fucking informant. He did tell on people. Like he was a Lucchese associate, but he wasn't that big of a deal realistically. It's
I
kind
mean,
of like John A. Light, right? Like John A. Light, yeah, he knew John Gotti and knew John Gotti Jr. and he was involved in some violent shit, but he wasn't like he's not involved enough that he should be in documentaries about like, oh, this is how the mafia works when you're not even in the fucking mafia really to begin with.
That's exactly what I was just gonna say. It's stupid. I didn't like Henry Hill.
Would you say Genovese or that Gambino has the most people? I think the numbers now are like almost 200, and Genovese is close, but I think the Gambinos have more people, and they also Gambinos have more ties to like Italy. So I would say the Gambinos are at the moment the strongest. Right now it goes like Gambino, Genovese close second. Um Bonanno number wise, but Lucchese's are probably more respected, and then Colombo has always been the weakest of the five families. Like Colombo, I think now has like 60 guys, and they're all like super old, and they're still inducting guys, but I don't know. Colombo has the least amount of influence. All these other families, like Lucchese, Gambino, etc., they have territory outside of New York, whether it's in Jersey or like Philly or the Bananos in Canada at one point. Um, the Columbos just don't really have that. They're always just being like a Brooklyn family.
Yeah.
S, are you Aldo? It reminds me of Aldo a bit. Serious.
Uh. Or, oh yeah, I know. I remember him. He got whacked, right? He's the one who got whacked.
I don't know, something like that. Yeah, no. Colombo is the smallest family. But again, the thing is, like, a button's a button. If you're a member of the Columbos, you're still gonna be like, the Bananas are gonna be like, oh yeah, this guy's a member of, like, they'll still sit down with you, and you'll be respected. There is no structure of the Irish mafia or Jewish mafia. They're these are just not groups. They're independent organizations. For example, like the Irish quote unquote mob in Boston under Bulger had nothing to do with like the Cleveland, um, Irish guys, right? Whereas with the Italians, it's like if you're an inducted member in Los Angeles and you go to New York, you'll be recognized as a member. The Irish didn't have that type of thing. There is no Irish mafia. It's just Irish gangs, and the whole Irish mob thing is a media term. Same as the Jewish thing, right? Like Bugsy Siegel and like or I almost said Ray Liotta, Meyer Lansky. Um, they were just Jewish criminals who were associated to the mafia. They didn't really have their own organization. So that's kind of just like a media thing of the whole like, oh, the Jewish mafia, oh, the Irish mafia. It's just it's just not really a real thing.
Yeah, mafia. The term was from Sicily, so
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there's crime groups that have structures. Like, the Russians have some, like the thieves in law, they have some structure, they have ranks. The cartel I mean, I don't know a lot about them, but they probably have ranks and structure. But like the Irish guys, like it's just a gang, essentially.
all right. So yeah, because mafia was the term for in Sicily, though. Now, if somebody said the Russian mob, would it be a different story because they used the word mob?
Yeah, mob just means like gang, but like even then, what do you mean by that, right? Because there's different like Russian organizations. There's
Right.
like there's like the Bratvas, which are their own thing. There's like the Thieves in Law, which is more of like a prison organization, but like what I mean? Like it's a little bit I don't know, mob and mafia at this point. It's become like a media term almost.
Yeah.
Any other questions or? I don't really know if there was any real overlap. I know in New York there's a Chinatown, I think, and there was some like triad stuff there. And then from what I've heard, like the Genovese used to still go in there and like extort areas. So I don't really know if there's too much overlap. A lot of these groups are like conclaves, you know, and like they kind of stick within their own people. So there's not a lot of like uh you know, not a lot of like interaction.
From what I heard with the Gambinos, they did a couple of things with them, but nothing major with the Chinese ones.
Yeah, the only thing really of like another gang association is like again with like the gasoline scam that Francesi was involved in. There was some like Russian guys from
Yeah,
Brighton Beach.
stuff like that, but nothing where, you know, nothing major. There's no escaping it. Oh shit.
Also, I said this before, but like Phil Leotardo, it was like in the right like 99% of the time in the show, if we're going by like actual like Cosa Nostra rules.
Even the hit on Angelo.
If it was ordered by the bot by Sat John, like the boss, then yeah, you got to do it. And at that point, technically, that was like an inter family war, right? So you know, like for example, the Columbos, they were killing guys on either side of the, and it was okayed.
The group that they feared the most was the other mafia, well, mob, but they were on the other side of the law.
Well, I mean, yeah, like these guys, they all work together. Like again, like all the families are connected. Like you know, if you're made in one family, you're kind of like respected by the like you know, it's all Cosa Nostra. It's like one thing. It's just kind of organized separately. Um, yeah, they've probably feared other members essentially. Like you know, like there's probably some white collar Gambino guy who's like, oh, this Roy DeMeo is a fucking lunatic. I don't want to deal with him type shit. I'm not talking about him being a terrible boss. I'm saying by like the rules of like you know his brother getting killed by some associate who's not even made. Tony should have turned him in. I even if he is the family, that's the rules. You
Yeah,
know.
he was going by the rules.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Phil. It's like in real life, like Cosa Nostra, like rules, like Phil is entitled to shit. I'm not talking about like him as a boss. I'm just saying like what he did and what he was demanding.
Yeah, his brother got killed, and that it's similar to the Vicamuso gas
And
pipe.
the other, yeah, you're right. And the other fucking thing I was gonna mention here is there's that scene where Tony grabs him by the throat and says, "Where's my money?" Blah blah blah. Again, Phil is a made guy. Another made guy from another family is not just gonna disregard the fucking rules and assault a fucking member unless it's okayed by the administration.
Exactly.
I'm kind of surprised how often that shit happened in the show of like Tony grabbing Christopher. And it's like, you know, and obviously it's funny, like they bring it up with Ralph, like when he hits Ralph, but then every other point aside from that, it's just like, oh, that's a normal thing. Like that's one of the stupid things in the show, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't get any of those parts right.
And that's my only real problem with the show from like a mafia perspective is like it goes like from being like really like realistic of like how they talk to each other and how they conduct business, how they sit around and the day-to-day life stuff, and then it just does goofy shit like that.
Yeah.
Too many two gangsters. Honestly, nowadays, probably I want to fucking see Gotti fucking arguing with fucking Gravano. That would be hilarious.
Let me think about that. Two gangsters in a room together. All right. So I would put
Fucking Angelo Bruno and Joey Merlino, so that way Bruno can see how far fucking Philadelphia fell.
Oh, this is tough. Good question. Um, you can answer something. Yeah, I was gonna say no. I wouldn't want Al Capone to go on a podcast. That would ruin Al Capone's whole image. But I would have loved to see Al Capone in a room with
Gaudy.
I would say like
Gaudy's
somebody
fucking
like
ego.
Capone would fucking tear him apart limb from limb. He'd he'd probably blow that room up.
Yeah, no, I know The Sopranos is obviously a show. Again, like the whole thing here is I'm just talking about like, like accuracy and like media and stuff like that. I understand it's a fucking show.
Yeah, we're just talking about like mafia rules because this is a mafia discussion. So technically, yeah. At first, I didn't think Phil was right, and then Pete was explaining it, and I was like, "All right, yeah, that's true." So
I also kind of wish the show would like, because they just kind of vaguely say, "Oh, New York." It would be nice if like we saw the other like four like versions of the other four families interact.
yeah, the Lucchese's.
Yeah, in real life, the DeCalvacantes, from what I know, mostly like the Gambinos were like the closest relationship wise to them. Like Gotti was like ordering them around and shit. So
Yeah,
even like I think at one point he even told them to like remake people because they weren't doing the ceremony. Which is funny because the Banana just weren't doing the ceremony period, and no one gave a shit.
Lucky meets Carlo. Didn't they? Was
I don't
Carlo?
I don't know, like I mean Gambino would have been younger than him and Luciano was deported to Italy, so I don't really know if they ever actually met, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would have. I would still say Capone and like I don't know. If it was in today's world, like I would say throw Gravano in a room with Gotti and let them fucking kill each other.
Yeah.
So we would have got more seasons then. Yeah, I saw that last with Francis.
French, yeah, he's another guy who like yeah, Francesi made a lot of fucking money, but he really was like again, he was an acting captain, like he wasn't really that influential. Most powerful boss, probably a Cardo in Chicago. Get Carlo Gambino too. Um,
Let's not forget Tommy Lucchese.
oh yeah, Lucchese. There's only like three fucking photos of Lucchese. He's like pretty mysterious.
That's how good he was.
Yeah. Mm. Most powerful of all time. It's kind of like a
I'm gonna have.
generic answer, but probably Gambino.
Uh, I was gonna say I was gonna go old school and say probably Joe Masseria.
Yeah, I mean, I think even Banano, like, look how much territory the Bananos had, dude. They had shit in Canada, like, it was pretty, like, I don't know, but Banano had a good reputation until he tried taking over the commission, and then, like, you know, he fucked off.
Yeah, yeah. Lucchese was one of the most violent. Uh, he was probably more violent than Persico and his faction. He was just a different breed.
Lucchese, I don't know if I agree with that. The Lucchese's were pretty chill, like, until Amuso. Um,
Did you watch any of the docs on Tommy?
No, like I'm not like he ordered murders, but like
There was like a
he's
lot of murders.
he's far from the worst though. Like even like the post Lucchese bosses like Tremonti and like Dux Corallo, like they're more business oriented.
Yeah, Joey, they would have did more seasons, but HBO was cheaping out.
I don't know. I did hear that Gandolfini was kind of done with it. What they could have done is just ended the show and then made like a spin-off set in the
Well,
same.
they were gonna do something where everyone on the cast of The Sopranos were gonna be cops, and the only criminal would have been Patsy Parisi. It would have been like a comedy.
I don't know. I don't know how much Capone had because the guy didn't declare his taxes, so I don't think we'll ever know.
They estimated that the whole Chicago. I don't think Capone himself had 100 million. I think the whole outfit. It was about around that. So figure in this time they were making over $1 billion a year in today's money.
The
Yeah,
thing is,
definitely.
the thing is with Chicago, right? Is they didn't really have to deal like New York. You know, there's five families all trying to like cut apart the piece of the pie. Chicago was like the lone family in Chicago at least. There was like families around them, like a Rockfield, Illinois family, but they were like really small. And then I guess technically the Midwest families were around, but Chicago, like in the city itself, it was just Chicago, so they didn't really need to divide anything up.
Yeah,
But it's they're fucked now, man. Like they're not Chicago's not doing too good. If you look at like Fed charts and shit, like they don't really have that many made guys now. They're still a thing, but it's very factionalized. I would say even like the Columbos probably hold more sway on the streets at this point than Chicago.
yeah.
They have like 11 known made guys.
Damn.
And you could say like, oh well, like there's stuff we don't know about, which is true. But with how many rats and informants there are these days, like it would paint a bigger picture. Yeah, Masseria inducted Capone and then sent them out, and that's why like even later on, uh the Genovese were kind of like representing the outfit on the commission, even though the outfit was on the commission in terms of like actual meetings, it was the Genovese.
Joey, I didn't know that. Also, where's your boy DJ? I think he hates us now.
Even like the Canadian, like there's a lot of families that have that of like offshoots of each other. Like like the Montreal guys, for example, like they were a Banano crew in Montreal. They were like members of the Bananos, but they were a Montreal faction. And then later on, the Rizzuto, they became like probably their own fucking thing. But um, and then like Buffalo, the Buffalo crime family. There's a lot of like Ndrangheta stuff in Ontario, but they're also like Buffalo members, so it's a little like cloudy.
Yeah,
Why do you think the other families didn't go to Chicago? Just because Chicago had, well, it's just so fucking far away. Like you can justify New York being connected to Montreal, but you can't really justify like business interests that far. And again, there were families around Chicago, like Rockfield or whatever, Springfield. Um, and the Midwest families, Detroit, they were all kind of around Chicago, but the city itself, it was just the Chicago outfit.
if you were in New York, you would understand why you wouldn't want to go to Chicago. You had Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. There was no need to go to Chicago.
But
And
even even like the families themselves in New York, like they're also factionalized. Like Lucchese, for example, there's Bronx-based Lucchese guys, there's Brooklyn-based Lucchese guys, and they always want to have their guy become the boss of the family, right?
yeah,
Like that's the thing, like Banano. The Bananos were always like kind of Queens based, like Philip Rastelli, Joe Messino. They were like from the Queens faction, and then after Messino flipped, Vinny Basciano from the Bronx, and then Michael Mancuso. Like now it's Bronx based. The Bananos.
Yeah, they are the Bronx. Yep. There's still a lot of Italians out there where Sakali lived.
You know, Buffalo. They're called the Buffalo family because it's from the city, but because Buffalo's so close to like Ontario and Canada, they have like territory up there. The underboss of Buffalo right now, Dom Violi, he's a Canadian guy. LA was connected to a lot of the Midwest families. Like if you look at a list, like a lot of the Los Angeles members weren't actually from LA. They were from like Chicago and they moved out or they got transferred there. So LA was kind of a bit of a, I don't know, very unorganized family. And pretty much everyone in the Los Angeles family had ties to like Cleveland or Chicago or Kansas, but they were inducted into LA as like an organization. And there were a lot of guys, like even from New York, who like, oh, they had an issue in their family and then they were shelved, but they were transferred to LA just so that they could still be members, essentially. Anyway, that's serious. I'm probably gonna wrap up in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah. Ask your question, guys. 10 more minutes.
10 more.
Could be anything. Arizona had a big mafia presence as well.
They had a Bonanno after Bonanno got kicked off the commission. Um, Joe Bonanno, not the Bonanno family. Joe Bonanno lived in Arizona, and he was kind of trying to like run like a new version out there. That's the only really thing that I can think of, though.
yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, there's like an Arizona Bonanno crew that, but again, like they weren't really recognized.
If you guys aren't subscribed to the second channel, we have a podcast. Or you could check it on this channel. It's in the playlists. We discussed a bunch. We have like 9 episodes out right now. If no one checked it out yet, check them out. We did a whole one on the Cavalcantes. We did some of the Gambinos. We did the Bananas in the 90s. Basic Mafia introductions. The Canada mobs.
The Chicago outfit. All those, like for example, Philadelphia and Jersey, they were connected to New York, but then like Kansas, Cleveland, Detroit, they were all connected to Chicago, and Chicago was like their representative on the commission.
Jersey wouldn't have had a boss. That would have just been the Luke. In real life, it would have been just the Lucchese's. They would have been part of New York.
Yeah, I mean, in the show, yeah, in real life, they probably still would have remained like as the DeCalvacant or whatever, right? Family.
Yeah. YNS? What does that mean? Oh, I appreciate that. The subscribe.
And to be honest, like the whole war between families thing in real life, that's just not a thing. If there's wars, usually like within the family itself, like Philadelphia in the '90s, Chicago, Colombo in the '90s. The commission shuts down any like outer family stuff. That's what the commission is for, just
Yeah.
keeping the peace. And uh, right now, like the commission isn't really like a physical thing anymore. Like the bosses don't meet, but the families still like do business with each other, and there's like unofficial meetings between like captains and the commission. Like it's still a thing, but it's kind of like a post commission now, and it's like more so of just like families making deals with each other and shit. Like that again, the guy I mentioned, Dom Violi, who's the Buffalo underboss. He was caught on like a wiretap saying that like Joe Todaro, the Buffalo boss, went to the Columbos and the Bananos and the Gambinos to like ask permission to like make a Canadian guy the underboss. So there is still clearly some sort of like commission.
Yeah. And you heard where they have only one task force left?
Yeah, there's only one task force left now for all five families, and then like the non-New York families, like the Patriarchas in Boston, they just don't have a fucking FBI squad at all now. So, you know.
Yeah.
No, Tony was a shit boss. He was always like fucking throwing people under the bus, refusing. He didn't follow the own code again. Like his cousin shot Phil and Billy Leotardo, and his cousin wasn't a member. It wasn't a sanctioned hit, and he refused to give him up. Like that's against the rules.
Yeah,
So he
the
was a
only
pretty
good
shitty boss.
Carmine was the only good boss in that show.
Uh, Boardwalk Empire is when fucking spoiler alert, Richard Harrow dies, the guy with half the face. And The Sopranos is when he's in the dream in the hospital and he's like sitting by himself. I always thought was kind of like emotional or whatever the fuck. I didn't give a fuck about Big Pussy. He's a fucking rat. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Probably like 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't know. Fucking probably Adriana.
I appreciate it, Freeze. All right, 2 more minutes and then we out. Damn, we've been on for over 2 hours.
But yeah, no, probably Adriana.
Let me hear the song.
Yeah, no, I read your comment before about the when he got pissed off. I don't know, I wonder if that's true. Like that's pretty ballsy, you know, because Stompanato was a lunatic.
Damn.
I wish there was more like LA Mafia media. Like there's LA Noir, that video game, which mentions like Mickey Cohen and shit, but and then I guess there's LA Confidential, and I guess the Bugsy Siegel movie, but I wouldn't mind like more like Los Angeles stuff.
Yeah, LA Noir was good.
But LA were like there's still a thing. Tommy Gambino, who's like related to the Cherry Hill Gambino guys. He's supposedly the boss of whatever's left, and he like supposedly inducted some Canadian guys in like 2018, but like that's kind of the last we heard about the Los Angeles family.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything after you told me that.
And even then, we don't know if they're even like a still like a family. They could just fully be like the Gambino California crew now. Like they might have
Yeah,
just been fucking. They might have been like swallowed up.
that's what I think, to be honest. Yeah, it was Weebay for sure. You want to bounce out?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for the questions, guys. I think that's pretty much it for tonight.
Yeah, we'll be
We'll
back.
do another one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah. See you guys later.
I'll catch you soon, Pete.
Yeah. See you, buddy. I'll message you. But
All right. All right, guys. Thanks for being a part of the stream. Make sure you subscribe to both channels. Yeah, I'm gonna put out more stuff soon. I made a poll on the community post. Check it out. Highest vote, I'll make that video next. Yeah, I'll keep going. Don't worry, guys. The grind never stops. I appreciate it. Check out the community post and vote, though. I appreciate it, bro. Thanks for hanging out. Take care, guys.